So Nathan Nosnik with Grace. Here we have Carla Jerome. She's
Hi.
our educator. She's been with Grace for how long have you been with us?
A long time. Forever.
Forever? That's what, 10 years? No, I'm just kidding. So how long? 20,
Ever
25?
since the beginning. So,
the beginnings, it's been a while. So Grace Company's been around for 35. So Carla has seen this business through all sorts of
and I haven't aged at all. So.
No, you have not. You look fantastic, Carla. Look fantastic. Behind the scenes, maybe can we bring on Mark? We have Mark Martin with us as well. He is in charge of all of our customer sales and relations, both nationally and internationally.
Mark?
Yeah, how's it going?
I was trying
Welcome.
To as part of that goes, can you bring us both on screen there? Oh, we're looking great.
Sports guys, so like I'm 6'3", great fighting weight. I refer to myself as a middle-aged guy. So sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. Mark, he's the young buck of the team here. With that, we also have behind the scenes Bryant. He's in charge of he's our videography and does a lot with our marketing and all of our graphics. And so thank you very much, Brian, as well, for helping us put this on and making this happen. With that, we've got a couple things. I hope those that have come saw an introduction. We have this awesome, what we're calling a Q-Zone hoop frame, and we're referring to it as one of the best friends for your domestic sewing machine. And today we're going to talk about some of those key things. And we're going to have Carla walk us through and show us. I'll be doing some of the demonstrations as well. But maybe, Carla, why don't you share with us, before we get into this, how did Grace Company come to have this product? Why and did we decide to make it? Maybe tell us a little bit more about who it's for as well.
Well, it's for the quilter who doesn't have a lot of room and she wants to quilt. It's made for those small spaces, and what's nice about it is it doesn't limit you to the size quilt you can quilt, and it's made to use with your domestic machine, because we all love our domestic machines. They're kind of like our best friend, and so to use it as a tool, and this tool actually makes it easier for you to quilt with. So we're going to introduce you to our Q-Zone hoop frame.
Wonderful. With that, I know that when we talk about using our machines at home, there are several things that we find that when people are moving through quilting that they find over a short period of time, they find that they potentially struggle. Like I know the weight of the quilt, is that a challenge when you're pushing that in the machine's throat? Or?
Right. It's hard. Well, it's hard for me. There are some wonderful quilters out there. But if you're beginning and you're trying to move this big, bulky fabric through the arm of your machine, some of the machines are very small, and it's a lot of fabric to manage to get those nice curves and turns to make your design look very nice. So that's a real challenge in and of itself.
I hear the term pooling or puddling, right? When they're trying to put that fabric so they have to less weight to deal with as they're pushing it.
If it's a big long quilt, you have this big long quilt all the way around you, and you're trying to quilt a section of it, but you have to manage that whole large quilt.
So a lot of you, if you've not done any quilting, look forward to that. Oh, wait. Hopefully we're solving that by showing a great accessory today. Outside of that, I think I hear a lot of people that it gets hot. So first, fatigue, they get a little tired. The bigger the quilt, the more strain.
You start to feel it in your neck and shoulders. And this is where the chiropractor comes in often with quilters. So you might be walking around like this or hunched or anything like that. Well, this will help eliminate all that strain and stress that you feel in your neck and your shoulders as you're quilting.
Okay, well, wonderful. Let me do this. I'm going to go over to Mark, who we have again on the back, and maybe have Mark share with us. I know, Mark, you've been out there at several different shows, and you have conversations with quilters of all sorts as well, with different experiences. What have you heard from them, either what they've struggled with, or maybe how this has been of value to them for those who maybe have purchased it? Share with us some of those thoughts.
Well, thank you, Nathan. Quite a few actually that come up with the struggling. First, they really don't know that they're struggling. You know, a lot of them are the sit-down users. They think that's kind of what they know. That's all they've known, and so they push the fabric through, and then they don't know that there's a better alternative, or they're in pain and they're moving through. So a lot of them is like, how do I manage large quilts and I have to push it through? Or they worry about, I need to stand all the time. I don't want to stand. I don't have the room. And so they're looking at all these potential problems that come through from needing to stand, needing to have the room. to find there's a solution for the issues that they have.
Well,
Wonderful. Thank you very much for that. And Carla, I don't know, this is kind of putting you on the spot. Have you had any comments come from anybody who's used this as well? I know we've received several different stories. Are you familiar with a couple of the customers who've used this and have been able to get into quilting?
Yeah, several. And in fact, my own story, I didn't have room for a large quilting frame. And I just had too many kids at home, and I didn't have a dedicated room like so many quilters want and love. And I didn't want to be down here quilting. So this frame here allowed me to quilt at home using the machines that we have, our little domestic machines. And so I didn't have to invest a gazillion dollars on all the bells and whistles or anything like that. I was able to start at this place and then kind of grow as I grew with my quilting. So as I got better, I can upgrade and things like that. So. Well,
wonderful. I know I've seen a couple. I know that there's been some who have the element Mark mentioned, kind of the standing and the sitting,
right,
who were not able to quilt much. The restriction in the physical upper body and in the inability to stand for extended periods of time. By putting this all the way down, they've been able to move up to this. And we're going to walk through this and show you how this is done. With that, we have a couple off-scene chairs. We're going to bring some chairs in. Carla, I'm going to have you go ahead and sit down in front. I'm going to walk around the back and talk about a couple mechanical components of this frame first. Now, what we're doing as well is I'm going to encourage you, as we go through part of this, I would encourage you to send out some shares and some likes. If you have any friends that you think might be interested in partially converting or using their domestic machine in quilting, we'll be streaming this for the next about 35 minutes or so with some Q&A at the end, also some questions through the middle. And what we'd like you to do, make a comment. Let us know you're there. We have a couple giveaways. In fact, let's grab one of those. Can I have, we've got one here. Let me go grab one of those. I'm going to quickly do this quick pitch on our TrueCut products. This actually is one of our amazing cutting combos, and this has our ergonomic cutter. I'm going to make sure to see if we can kind of see this here. So it has our ergonomic cutter. It also has this ruler, and it has a set of non-slip pads, and those non-slip pads go on the back. Now this cutter has a track, and we'll do a little more of a demonstration later, but it locks together. So we're going to look to give this away. We're going to give away an electric sharpener as well that does sharpen the 28s, the 45, and the 60 millimeters. We have a randomizer. We're going to go through the list of those that are live with us. We'll pick one of those. We'll get your contact, and we're going to ship you out a free present when that time comes as well. So with that, I'm going to move around the back of the frame so we can go ahead and move to the camera on the back, and I'm going to point out a couple things for us to take a look at. And what we're going to look at from this angle is I'm going to talk about the carriage, and then we're going to talk about some machines. One thing that we have a lot of people who ask when we start is, I don't really understand, like, how does the machine work on a system like this? And so I'm going to show you. We actually have what we call an upper carriage, and this upper carriage contains a platform, and this platform is where we put the machine. And you'll notice that it's very wide and it's very deep. And then you'll notice that there's nothing above it, no handles. And so I was fortunate enough here recently to be at a demonstration where I saw a Janome, a beautiful M7, a Continental, and that's a 13.5-inch machine. That machine fits here wonderfully. Your Berninas, your Brothers, your Jukies, your Vikings, your Foffs, all those will sit. Your Epics, a lot of those new, those high-end machines, sit right here on this trolley. What we do is we have these machine base clamps, and these actually create and clamp against the base of the machine to hold it in place. And then as a whole, this carriage, we just simply set it down. So we just set it on down, and it is easy and it's very light. And what we're going to do next is with this carriage, we have a bottom one that tracks left and right from side to side. And we have this rail that ends up holding the fabric and throw. So we're going to show that for a minute. I'm going to have Carla, if you wouldn't mind, we have a thumb screw on this side. I'm going to undo one on this side. What we do is we just loosen the thumb screw. That allows this rail to come out. I'm going to just set it right here on the side for now. And I'm going to hold up just two different machines. Here is one that we have. Here is a Pfaff Viking Performance. It's a pretty decent machine. Nice size here on this. But again, I'm going to show you. I'm going to set it here on the trolley. So we just go ahead, and this just simply sits down on the trolley. We take the machine base clamps, and we're going to put them on, and that's as easy as it is. So we can just put it on and take it off. for part of this demonstration, Carla, one of the other machines that we love a lot is the little Juki machine. It's a 9-inch machine. It's a fast machine, so I'm going to take it off. But just to show you again, we lift it up, put that carriage. We're just going to sit that down on the carriage. We can clamp it in place. We then are going to take this rail, and it just goes back through the throat of the machine. Now, again, you can do this on your own. We just take one of those thumb screws again, and we're just going to put that in to hold the rail in place. And so that is as easy as it is. Now, Carla, why don't you sit down? I'm going to have you kind of show them. I would ask this question, like, if we were going to share this with them, how hard or how easy is it for us to move this around when you're quilting or moving it around?
It's very easy. Now, we don't have the fabric on, so the little clamps kind of get in the way. But it's really smooth and very easy for me to slide it back and forth, front to back, so it makes your nice, beautiful curves that you want while you're quilting. You don't end up with a square where you want a circle or whatnot. So
now, one other thing you might have seen me quickly do is the other question is, well, does it fit? How does it adjust? People sometimes look at this hoop.
Right.
What I did is I just loosened, and we can raise this up or down to fit the base of your machine. The other thing is Carla, if we have a longer machine, this rail pulls out, correct?
Yes, this whole piece right here, you've got some set screws right under here, and you extend it this direction, so you have a larger quilting area.
Now, one other question we get asked often at this point, well, what if my machine is like a 16-inch machine?
Right.
What about the handles? How does the machine run into the handles? Is there an accessory for them?
There is. There is an accessory, and also it will run into the handles. So we have a group of handles that are called the extended handles. What they do is they extend out this direction, so it gives you a longer handle, so you can use the longer arm machines.
So again, just to kind of reconfirm, this is what the frame comes with now. It comes with the current handles, the carriage, the trolley system. It also comes with some clips and the clamps we're going to talk about in a minute. But if they really feel like they need to put even a bigger machine, like a 16 or an 18 that you've been using to sit down at, they would buy that accessory. I think it's $100. It's $99.95 for that accessory. Then that lets you put the longer handle set on them as well. So that's an option with that. One thing I'd like to have you point out to us, and I'll maybe show this to the camera, talk a little bit about the clips. Like, talk about this frame, because I'm seeing this frame. It's about 4.5 feet wide. By about 3.5 feet deep. So how does this work on like a big king size quilt or a queen size quilt? I have a piece of fabric here to maybe show. Maybe we can open this and lay it over the frame. What's the difference in how this one works?
So this clamps on all 4 of your poles, or your rails is what they call them. And what you'll do is you'll unclamp them.
So maybe before we do that really quick, because I'll move this right off because I want you to show them the clips. But what I want to show is if we're doing this, we start and we do this in zones, right? So you drape it over part of the edge. Yeah.
So you'll move your machine all the way down across here. And it does come with the leaders.
This particular frame does. We have 2 versions of this frame. We'll talk about those differences towards the end.
So you just kind of drape it over the edges of your quilt. It's a hoop concept, and that's what you do with the quilt.
Like hand quilting?
Right.
So again, we're going to put clips and clamps on in a minute. So we will work through this so you can see how we move the machine across it, how the fabric is positioned. But part of the reason this works with the king size is because the fabric lays over the frame versus wrapping around the rail.
Yeah.
All right. So why don't you go ahead and show us a couple of the clips. What are some of the purposes?
We have these nice ratchet clips where you just pull them off.
Go ahead and show them one. Maybe you take off the other. I'm going to kind of show this up to the camera here. If you look at this, this actually has ridges and bumps. Carla, what are the bumps for that are on these?
They're to help you ratchet. A lot of our frames have little wheels that have teeth on them. Well, these are the teeth, and they're on the clips so that when you put down on the fabric, you can turn it.
So I'm going to go ahead and show
you tension.
You pop it on, and then we
ratchet.
Create like a ratchet. So one really important thing that I believe also for automation, and you can add automation to this later as an accessory, but tension on the quilt is important, in order to keep that even across. Okay, so these have that, and you'll notice there's one on the sides, both sides.
Both sides.
And then I'm going to point this one out, because last time I did this, people had a question. We have a different one that's in the throat of the machine.
Yes.
And I'm going to point this out. This one has a different shape. Instead of having the bumps that allow it to ratchet, this one is fixed. However, it has this interesting groove. And one of the questions, Carla, that I was asked on this one is there are some bungees that we're going to use as we roll through this to hold fabric. And so that bungee actually engages on the lip. So let's do this. I'm gonna have you pull up your chair.
Okay.
And I would like to go ahead and have you now, let's maybe take a quick minute and see if there are any other questions that have come through from the few minutes we've been kind of reviewing this. Is there anything particular that we could
I just
look
want
at,
to
Mark,
make
for
a
you?
comment really quick.
Okay.
The height of this is not the height that I quilt at. This does have height adjustable legs, so you can set it down a little lower or up a little higher.
All right, Mark, let's go to Mark for a minute.
Hey, everybody. Yeah, some of the questions that came through was channel locks.
Do it with them watching.
Okay.
One of them talked about, is there a your own machine? They wonder about coolers with their own machine. How would that work?
Okay.
And setup. So channel lock setup and rulers if they use their own machine.
So maybe let's quickly answer the setup.
Okay.
If we kind of come back, in part of the setup, this frame does come with the frame sides completely assembled. And literally, there are 4 corner braces. This frame we're looking at here is what we refer to as the Q-Zone Hoop Frame Pro. We do have a Q-Zone Hoop Frame Standard. Difference in price. We do actually have a wonderful promotion right now. The Q-Zone Hoop Frame is on sale for $889. Is the current price for our standard frame that has these same functions and features at a phenomenal. Normally that's $14.99, so that's actually about $600 off right now that we're running through this month as well. So I also forgot to mention this. I apologize, both Mark and Carla. We do have a couple availability if any of you have other direct questions for Grace Company on our site at www.graceframe.com. We do have live chat available right now. So if there are other questions that you would like to have more details, we have a couple account executives that can help answer some of those questions, talk to you about potentially some of the pricing. We also will show you a little bit later on some compatibility that also will convert this machine system with your domestic. You can also add 15 and 19-inch long arms to the same frame as well, and automation, in fact, for those. And for certain domestic machines, stitch regulation.
Yes.
So if you think you want stitch regulation, if you don't know what that is, it does create even stitches as you move the machine across. We do have compatibility with a lot of those machines out there as well. So send through some questions and chats and we can help get those answered for you. But right now we're gonna have Carla go ahead and kind of show us how this fabric kind of goes on. I'll kind of help. Normally this is done by yourself, but I'm lucky to be here to help. So we'll help do some of that. So we're gonna go ahead and take this, goes under the throat of into the throat of the machine.
And over the rail.
All right, and then you have your clips there for us.
Yes, so we're using these clamps to clamp over it. And you've got 3 of them going across. Here you go.
Thank you.
And what we're going to do is pull this just a little bit. And we're just going to come.
So what are you doing right now? So you're rolling the fabric a little bit.
And clamping it onto the clamp. So I'm pulling my elastic strip.
Okay, up and over the top.
You can adjust it so it's a little tighter, a little longer as your quilt fills up, the bulk of it. And you're just clamping it onto this little lip right here on the clamp. Okay, now I'm going to take my ratchet clamps, the 2 long ones. Here it is. And we're going to set it straight down on.
Let's put a little downward pressure. What I like to talk about is just downward pressure, which allows us to clip over.
Right.
And you add a little tension.
Right. So I'm just going to turn it.
Turn it a little bit to add the tension.
And you can see that the tension got a little tighter.
Now we have a couple side ones. Do you have a side one over there? Now,
I do.
Included with this frame, maybe you can show them how the bungees that come with the frame also hold it onto the side.
So this, you can clamp down on over the fabric. If it extended out across this pole right here, you could clamp it down straight on and it'd hold and you could ratchet for tension. But with the bungees, you turn it up this direction so it's straight up, and you will slide this little bungee stop on here.
Over the side, and then that's what you can use to create tension on the side. Now, Carla, while you're doing that, I do think we have a couple questions. Maybe we can go back to Mark for a quick minute on a couple of the questions that you have, Mark. Why don't you go ahead and share some of those comments? Maybe put that on screen if you have something we can let everybody see. And I don't know if there's a name behind it. Who do we have that's asking the question, Mark?
There we go.
Yeah, so this is Diana.
Diana, for being here and joining us today.
he had just mentioned while the cloth was being attached, cloth leaders. Is cloth leaders necessary? Watching how you did that, is it necessary to use cloth leaders or no? Was a question.
Great
Question. Let me come back maybe to Carla, and I have something I'll pick up here for Carla. Carla, why don't you go ahead and share a little bit about attaching the fabric with or without cloth leaders?
Well, cloth leaders are a nice accessory that allow you to quilt all the way to the edge of your quilt. So they're just an extension of your fabric, of your backing, and so I encourage them. However, if you didn't want to use them, you could make your backing a little longer or a little wider, and you'd have to make it about 6 to 8 inches. So the cloth leaders, you can use them over and over and over again, so you're not wasting that much fabric to
Now,
go all the way to the edge.
I'm going to ask this too. I believe, like, the question I think I would have is, now I'm knowing this comes with written instructions, but did you do some videos, and do you have some examples? How else can I see it?
Put the fabric together.
Okay.
And because with this frame, instead of putting each piece of fabric on a separate pole like you would with a rolling frame, you are sandwiching them together all at once. And no, you don't have to baste, but if you want to baste, that is your prerogative,
great
and you
question.
can baste.
Yeah, great answer to that. So with it now, I believe you have a video showing it without leader cloth and managing fabric without, and then one with it.
Yes.
This particular Q-Zone Hoop Frame Pro, which is the premium version, it does come with these special leader cloths, right?
Yes.
It does come with the bungees that you just showed us.
Right.
This particular one also has a table in the back.
Right.
Which is great. This one also, while we're talking about maybe what's unique to this particular frame, is that it has the same track, I believe, as the Continuum, right? Our professional series frame.
Track.
And what's the advantage of having a dual track? Maybe just briefly kind of give us an insight.
It gives you two angled wheels, and it's a little smoother, not as much friction, and so you get that smooth flow as you're quilting along. So it's a nice addition.
Yeah, I know that this one also has the welded table as a whole. So this one normally I think is $18.99. This one's on sale for, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's $11.89. So we're on sale. This one's currently on sale $11.89. The Q-Zone hoop, the standard Q-Zone hoop, which is fantastic. The differences is the tables aren't included. The leader cloth are also not included. That's an optional piece. It also has a different style track. Still works fantastic. We've actually had that one in the market now for about 2 years, and it's our number one selling item that we have. So, and that one's on sale for $8.89 also. So we've got the $8.89 price, and then moving to the Pro. If you really wanted to go to this one with a couple other key things that are built into it, we're looking at $11.89. All right, I'll go ahead and move those back out of your way. So. Let me go ahead and move that out. So I'm going to go ahead. Now, this machine is a Juki. I know we can stitch regulate it. Right now, we don't have one hooked up. No. So I'm going to go put the foot pedal on. Okay. Just so you know, if you're using your domestic machine, that foot pedal just goes underneath and moves to the middle that you can use to control it with your foot. Some people want to know, well, how much motion? And I'm going to kind of just show you really from center, you're about 1.5 feet. To each side. So a roller chair like Carla has is good, so that when you're up in front of it, you can adjust the height too, which is usually nice versus just a fixed chair. The handles, it looks like they're tilted. Can they be adjusted?
Them. Okay. Yeah, so you can just turn it up and down, put them up. You can put them back here if you want to lay your arms against it.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can customize it the way you want.
Wonderful. I am going to plug this in for us. Give me a minute. Sneaking around back here. We'll put the foot pedal on for.
You saw the light come on. It has to be powered in.
And there's your foot pedal. Plug this in. Now, some other people I know in the past have also asked me, does the machine, does it act different than when you're using it, normally pushing your fabric through? This uses the same foot you would use for quilting, right? When it's on your table.
You have to change your foot. And so, and your feed dogs. Feed dogs are what give you that little traction and feed your fabric.
So feed dogs up or feed dogs down?
Down.
Down, right? You don't want it to grab and bind.
You don't want it to grab.
Okay, and then you use, like I call it, like the free motion darning foot or a foot glide across the surface. And so this machine's set up for that. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll put that down. And why don't you just go ahead for a minute, maybe just go ahead and give it a little bit of some throttle. And I just want you to move it around and have them kind of watch to see how easy that is for you to move around.
There you go.
She's pulling up her thread is
pulled
what she's doing.
my-
Oftentimes, I'm just like, whatever. And if your machine has a trimmer, then good to go. You can use your trimmer as you normally would.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna start pushing down, and you can see it. I'm in control of how fast I go, and if I think my stitches are a little too big, I'm gonna push down and make it sew a little faster.
So a little
keep
faster.
moving.
I know
Yeah.
some machines have a slider that you can kind of set so that you maybe, if you're worried about it going too fast, I think you can adjust your slider on your machine. Other people might ask, well, if I don't want to use the foot pedal, if your machine has an on-off button on the head, you can use that on-off button. Also, like on this particular machine, we would have a stitch regulation unit available, so you could buy a stitch regulator as well.
And then you don't have to
accompany it.
use the foot pedal, so that's what's nice. So yeah, I could do this all day. It's pretty fun.
She has done this. She's done a lot of it. So,
Yeah.
in fact, I have too. I did a video here recently. You can go to our YouTube channel. I
Yeah.
actually went through the process of quilting an entire quilt. It was a little bit of a smaller one, but I did show everybody what it's like to put the fabric
Right.
on, what it's like to move it, what it's like as this builds up. So again, when you're done with part of this, I'd encourage you, go to our website. You can also go to our YouTube channel and watch a couple of those other videos we've done recently. There's the videos also on there with Carla doing the fabric and walking through part of that process. I think that's a good thing to watch. A lot of people, I think, when they see this, are just a little concerned, like, does my machine, will it really work on there? Maybe, Mark, if I can go over to you and have you talk about the machine throat and kind of how you respond to people based on the different neck size they have. We'll talk a little bit about that.
Hello. Oh, I'm sorry, everybody. If you could hear that, I keep kicking. They put me in this corner in this little room. Just kidding. I'm in this big room. All right. See that nice quilt on the back right there? Carla did that one. All right. Sorry about that. So the throw space, and then why I did the throw space, one of the questions Diana had asked too was how far to the sides you can go. And that really depends on your machine. I will say that most machines, you have about 7 to 9 inches from your side on where the where your needle will be positioned. So each side of your frame, you have about 7 to 9 inches. Throw space. Nathan, give me that question again.
So the question I had
throat spaces, share with us a little bit about some of the different, and I don't want to say techniques, but I know that there's varied machine throats. And so some of them are 5, some are 7, 9. There's 12, and most recently up to 13. And then you have, again, your mid arms and your long arms, but maybe refer and tell us a little bit about the domestic machine. Can I use a 7-inch machine on this? Maybe if I'm using a 5, things to be aware of or what challenges I might face.
Okay, yeah, great question. And I actually ran into a customer the other day who had a 5-inch machine, and absolutely it would work with the frame. 7 inches would work. Really, any domestic up to 19 inches would work on the frame. Now you can imagine the 5-inch throat is much smaller than a 13 or 15. So you won't cover as much fabric. So you're going to be moving the fabric a lot more. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you can still use a machine. And the nice thing about that is you are comfortable with your 5-inch machine. You understand it. You know how it works. Let's put that right there on top of the hoop frame and use it. So there is really nothing wrong except the throw space. Now, the bigger the throat you go, the more material you can cover and finish more projects. And no one's in a rush, but you do feel like you're going through them a lot faster. So the smaller machines do have less movement on it as to the larger machines do.
Wonderful. And
Good point.
I do know, and I love telling people this. And first and foremost is I like to be very clear and honest. I know here at Grace Company, our philosophy is we don't feel like people have to buy the tools that we make. We're very specific, and we make the tools because actually customers have asked for certain things for so long. We actually build what we're being asked to build, and we're looking to solve the problems that are out there. And I like to say that I would never sell anything to anyone that I wouldn't sell to my grandma. So like, does it work and how would it work? I do like to keep people informed. Mark, you mentioned that if we have a smaller machine, you do have a little less space to work in. I like to tell people, have you quilted on your machine? Yes or no. If you have, it actually solves holding and managing the fabric. So no matter what, you're going to eliminate that challenge. Now, it's not going to mysteriously all of a sudden extend the thread of your machine. You need to buy a new machine for that, but it actually does solve how it fills and how you push and how you manage. In fact, I love talking about quilting on a system like this, Carla, is like drawing with a pen or a pencil versus upside down.
Right.
Maybe if I can have everybody do this, take your writing hand and hold it in the air for me. Everybody do this. Everybody here in the room, everybody participate with me. Hand up. If you think about this, if this is your writing hand, now change and pretend like you're holding a utensil in your other hand. Now I'm right-handed, so now my left hand's up. I'm going to put my opposite hand down and pretend like you're going to go ahead and place the pen like you're going to draw. However, don't move your drawing hand. Try to move and pretend like you're going to sign your name. And you'll actually find that it's backwards and upside down. If you're at home, try this. If you're at home, take out a piece of paper, take a pen, hold it in your opposite hand, and then try to move the paper with your normal hand to sign your name. Yeah, it's backwards and upside down. So now, again, scrap that, everybody. Okay, get rid of that. Now, hold your writing hand back up. Now, I want you to go ahead and put it down and act like you're going to sign your name.
Okay.
All I know is that I feel significantly more comfortable because I've been taught to draw and to write and to color and to do so, so I'm very comfortable.
Right.
This process, is it similar to that, Carla?
It just is moving the machine like you're moving your pencil rather than your fabric under the pencil. So, or a piece of paper under the pencil, trying to make that nice design.
I do hear that when people sit down, there's this fear of, I don't know if it's going to feel comfortable. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get the hang of it. But what I hear is as soon as they start to move it, because it's like drawing or because it's like writing, they feel a lot more comfortable they do than trying to push and move that fabric around.
Yeah. So, yeah. And it allows you to quilt in your time as well. And I liked what Mark said is that you can quilt in increments. Stop, get up, walk around, and then come back and start from where you left off. So you don't have to have it unroll on you or anything like that. So
going back to part of the machines is, if you think, you're simplifying the quilting experience regardless of the stroke or the size. We do find that two things happen, and I love talking about this. Someone who is buying this. Now, let me ask this question, okay? And maybe I'm going to do a quick giveaway as to part of what this is, and we're going to trust everybody. Make a comment. I am curious to know how many unfinished quilts you have at home. How many? Carla, if I were to ask you, do you have 2 unfinished quilts?
No.
5?
No.
10? Okay, people are going to put their hands up. Make a comment. What I'm going to do is I am going to take...
Is it going to be the one with the least or the most?
The most, because they need this the most, and we're going to help them out. So I'm actually going to do this. We have this circle cutter that will provide this as a true cut. So what I'm asking for you to do is go ahead and comment. Mark, I want you kind of watching that to tell me what the numbers are as they come through. Maybe, Bryant, you can put us both up on the screen right now and look at that. We'll see what Mark says, because Carla, you have 15?
No, I don't have that many.
Oh, okay. I know I've had in a class, by the way, up to 50.
Right.
50.
So she probably inherited some. Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe she's just not quite sure how to finish. You quilt one of 2 ways with your checkbook or your own, right?
You're right.
So this lets you kind of do it on your own, which is fantastic. You can complete your own projects. I know there's a lot of pride that people have if they're giving a gift to kind of do that from beginning to end. We know not everybody needs to. This is not for everybody.
No.
My mother-in-law, I have been very fortunate to receive a few of her quilts. She has had a great long-arm quilter help her complete her quilt. So they're still just as dear to me as anything. So I love being able to have those quilts, and they're in our home, and we love using those. So it's wonderful to have. So with that, where are we at, Mark? Do we have anything so I can give a giveaway?
Ellen has 18.
Oh, we're at 18. Because we're going to move on, we're going to take Ellen. What I would ask you to do, Ellen, if you'll just please put in the comments, and maybe, Mark, you can put this on the screen for us when she responds through. We'd love to hear it. Let me know you're there and you're listening again. We're going to go ahead and have you send an email to info@graceframe.com. And we're going to go ahead and ship this out. We need your information with your shipping address and your email, and we can go ahead and get this sent to you for free. So we'll get that out to you. Is she there, Mark? Did she respond at all? Put her comment on the screen if she does.
Nice.
It was Ellen, you said? Ellen?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. Well, great. Give that to Ellen. With that, let's do one more giveaway. Let's do this. Mark, maybe you can use the randomizer, and let's give this one away as well. Let's go ahead and move back out. Carter, we're going to move to this other camera over here for another minute. So Mark's going to hit the randomizer. Mark, go ahead and scroll through there and find us another winner. If you're watching again, this is going to be our Quilters combo. This is a $65 value.
All right.
Yeah, Mark, go ahead and put the more online.
I will get a name here on my randomizer. And the winner is Sandra.
His name out for us. Sandra. There, Sandra, please respond as a comment. Let us know, and we're asking you to give us a hey, I'm here, so that we can recognize, because we're doing this for people who are with us right now streaming.
Right.
And then we're going to ask you to email info@graceframe.com so that we can get this to you. Now, Carla, true cut really quick. So this is, we're going to shift a little bit. What's the great thing about this combo? What is true cut? What does it do for you when you're cutting? What are some of the things it does?
Oh, it makes it easier for you to hold the ruler. Keep your fabric nice and straight so you don't get a fat end versus a skinnier end, because it's going to hold your ruler nice and stable. And it has a guide and track.
Keep on talking. I'm going to go grab one.
So the guide and track allows you not to veer off of your ruler. And so you're cutting nice straight strips the whole time.
So I'm going to come up on here, and I know this might be a little bit different. Give me a second here. So I'm looking to see. This particular ruler does have this special lip on it.
Yeah, do we have a
So
cutter?
that lip is what the cutter locks onto
Yeah,
to
we don't
keep
have a
it from
guide.
coming off. So that's one of the key things that this has, is this special lip that locks it all together. And that keeps you from veering off. So when people are cutting, two key things happen when we cut. Usually we find that we're putting a ton of pressure.
Right.
We're fighting the two by pushing them also, instead of up and down, also keeping them together. We've had people, we hear horror stories, people skipping over and cutting fingers or digits or all those. Not good, not good. But it keeps you from having to shift into veer. It's also incredibly ergonomic.
Yes,
so we
it's
find
very nice.
more power with less effort.
Right.
So this is the gift we're going to get. Who's the winner again on that one, Mark?
Sandra.
Sandra. So congratulations, Sandra. All right. Let's go back over to our quilt. Let's do this. One thing, we're going to come back around here, Carla. We'll move back over to this other camera for us. One thing I would like to show them here, as we're getting kind of close to the end, is I would like to take the quilt and I would like to roll more up in the throat.
Okay.
So they can see what it looks like when we end up with a little bit more.
Okay.
And then I'm going to talk to you about one of the advantages that using and still quilting on a frame does like this, regardless of the size machine you have. So we're going to go ahead and release the little clips here, the bungees.
Nathan has longer arms. He likes to sit and do it. I do not, so I stand.
That is one of the advantages of being tall. Yep, you're good.
Okay.
So we're going to just pull it through, and let's wind that up, roll it, keep it going, keep it going. There we go.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and clip that back over.
There we go.
And what I'm going to show you here, once we get this over, is I want you to notice and see how well the fabric, it kind of just holds it right up on top of this rail. So again, think about this. The difference between this and what I call the rolling frame, like the big long arms, is that instead of rolling the fabric around, it actually helps just keep and clips the fabric on top. And that actually allows the fabric to rest over the space. So I know it's not necessarily close up for you, but I'm going to show you. So this is in the throat of the machine. And one of the best things about this is we refer to this as a soft roll. So instead of the rail being thick and hard, stopping the machine, as this usually builds up, our machine has less space. But because this is just fabric, we can actually move the machine clear to the rail, both at the front and the back, because we can actually move this portion of the fabric out of the way of the machine. So you actually end up with doing it this way with a little bit more space on a frame than you do when you're still physically. So you're not losing that space. And so that's another big plus as well. So I just wanted to kind of show you what that was. Outside of that, any last items, Carla, that you thought you would like to share? And then I know we have a couple other questions we'll go to as well with some accessories.
Smaller, shorter arm, it can be a little frustrating because you think you have more quilting area than you really do, but just mark. And if you'll mark your quilt, then you won't hit the back or the sides. and you can use a piece of chalk, piece of tape.
I know
and just mark
some
them.
people have used a piece of yarn. I've done
Right,
that, and I've
right.
strung that across the frame so I know where my machine's going to end.
So you don't hit the back and ruin your design. So if you'll do that, that will eliminate all that little worry and headache of hitting the sides. And we even do that on the big long arms. You can have a longer arm and still do that same thing. So
all right, so let's go bring maybe Mark up on with us as well. Let's see, Mark, what are some other questions? I know you were looking and thinking there were things. Maybe put those on screen so everybody can see the question.
There are two good ones. Going back to the fabric, one was should they base spray before the layers on, and the second one is how do you keep it straight as you move the fabric?
So I think, Carla, you mentioned before that they can baste it if they want. One thing I've done is I would baste across the top edge. So if you have a quilt, if you combine the top, that really helps hold it. Now, the question I think, Mark, you also asked was, well, how do you keep it kind of together and smooth out? Here's an interesting thing. One of the things that happens because this actually drapes over, as you pull and shift it, it actually helps smooth the back out.
It does.
Which is very unique. So we weren't quite sure when we came up with this concept how hard it would be. Now, again, if you want to baste it, you're more than welcome to do so. However, we've had several king-size projects that we haven't as we've started at the top. And as we move down, you'll notice that because it's loose fabric, you actually have control over your 3 layers if you still kind of want to. And they do drape. And so, again, I would say personal preference. I've heard some people who do some super, super detailed work that they have done more basting across the whole thing. Edge to edge, maybe not as much of a work.
If you have a piece backing and you want a specific block, specifically in that area, I would baste, and so it doesn't shift them.
Wonderful, great. Mark, what other questions are we getting? Anything else that would be something we can help answer?
Just one, when you're shifting your fabric, how well is it to realign your images as you're moving it around?
Good question.
Maybe, do we have a sample? I'm going to go grab one, Carla. Stay here. I'm going to go grab a quilt. I want to show them this concept here.
Okay.
Carla has done many, many, many beautiful quilts. This one is one that she's also done with automation, but I just want to talk about...
No, I did not do that with automation.
Oh, never mind. Freehand. That's how good she is, by the way. So, beautiful quilt. So, really quick, I'm just going to kind of talk about when we have a quilt, often we actually have sections and zones. And so what's really nice is it does not have to be squared, because really you're just going to quilt in the area. And even from edge to edge, by most quilts that we have, it's usually not a whole cloth. If you are whole cloth, you still are going to be usually sewing in an area or quilting in an area. It does make it easy because you can actually have the freedom to move across the space. So once you put it on, you can move your machine like this. We can move it back and front and left and right to make sure that the machine is clearing what you want. If not, you can then just reattach it and pull it either way to give you and put that space in the throat of the machine. And then once you move it to the side, one of the practices we would say is that you're going to tie it off. You would then just move the machine and put your needle down into where you finished, and that would let you begin quilting from that. Some people leave their needles down. I'm not the biggest fan. I've heard people who have bent needles or pull them.
You have to be very careful if you're going to shift it, make it slow.
So again, usually, you already have a lot of directions by the types of piecing. You can work through those in the sections or in the area is what and how we do this. And then again, you can also automate this. Our automation is smart enough that if you actually have a machine that can be computer automated, it actually creates indexes for you. And it marks them. It actually shows you where to move the fabric. You go back to those marks, it realigns the pattern perfectly, and you continue quilting.
It's easy and fun.
Easy and fun. Now, do we have a video? I know we have some instructions. Not sure.
I just finished up my video on the hoop frame, and so look for it coming. It's going to be fun. I did a whole quilt from beginning to end, shifting the fabric and showing you all the steps. So,
well, wonderful. Let's go. Any last questions before we kind of wrap up for today? I would say really quick, I did want to look at a couple quick accessories, and then we're going to move to the next size machine to show you what a mid-arm looks like on this same frame as we finish. But before we shift the frames, let's quickly we have a laser stylus, right?
Yeah, let me just reach over and get
pattern perfect set. So we'll show you. So again, the other thing that people ask is, am I limited on what kind of accessories we can use? And I think earlier we asked about the templates, and I'm sorry I did not answer that question. Westerly has and makes
So steady.
makes
Yes.
inserts for different types of sewing
Right.
machines. I would recommend getting with them. I know they have done that for particular applications like this. You will use your same template. If your machine has a wider bed, you will just leave that bed on instead of sliding off the tray. And then
Right.
you can put the ruler on top of that. And instead of pushing the ruler again, you just move the machine along that ruler's edge. So you can use templates.
You'll
Again,
need a ruler foot.
you'll need your ruler foot. You'll need to look at from your manufacturer
Right.
or online and get a ruler foot.
Right.
That's critical.
Right.
But if you already have templates, I'm guessing you have one. And yes, you can use those. I like to say this caveat. Some people will move from this to a mid-arm.
Right.
Different size rulers. The domestic home machines use one that's about an 1/8 inch. And the big
Yes.
professional machines use a 1/4, so they're thicker. So just
Right.
be aware that the bigger machines do use the thicker templates. So Carla, that's a laser.
This
it
is a
looks like.
laser, and you can mount it because of this carriage right here to the front or the back on either side of this carriage right here. And it just
So has anybody heard of paper patterns, right? Pantographs.
Yeah, pantographs. You can mount it
Those
to the
items.
front or the back.
One thing I like to do is if I'm working with a machine like this, because the
Right.
machine doesn't come all the way to the front, I
Mhm.
like to extend my rails just a little, and I
Right.
like to lay my pattern across the front of the fabric. That's how I prefer to do it.
Yeah, and then as you're shifting it, you can make sure it's all lined up and nice and straight. So yeah,
On the back, this carriage,
This goes
as
right here.
Carla's putting that on there, this carriage does have a set of rear handlebars, and they're here. These foam grips are what you can use to use that on the table on the back. Remember, if you buy our standard Q-Zone hoop frame, you'd want to get your table inserts as an accessory in order to put the paper and do that from the back of the frame.
see the little dot. You just follow it along, move your carriage.
And the laser can go from the back. It can
Right.
go either here in the back or in the front. This is the plastic template set. We have several different styles. Also, this is something that does and would go on the back system as well. We're not
Right.
going to take a lot of time.
No.
In fact, I think we're going to come back and do a few other videos that will help share
Yeah.
on a couple functions in addition to maybe
Right.
some other how-tos with this frame
With
as
the
well
pattern
as we
frame,
move through.
yes.
With that, let's go ahead and switch our
Okay.
cameras again. We're going to kind of step back out, and we're going to kind of come over and focus on this other machine. And here we are. Carl, I'm going to have you kind of come over here. So this is really the same setup. This frame that we're looking at is our standard Q-Zone hoop frame, not the Pro version.
Right.
They work this in a similar fashion, same size machines. And this is a 15-inch machine. This is
Right.
our Unique 15R. Maybe just briefly give us a quick rundown on the 15R and why you might upgrade to this one once you get into more quilting. Why would someone
Well,
move into
this one it comes with stitch regulation. So it's not an added accessory that you're purchasing. So it's built in. It's very easy. It's a quilting machine. So that's what it's made for. It's not like your domestic machines where you can piece your quilts. It's just dedicated to quilting. And you just turn it on very easily. I bring my bottom thread up and turn it on. And it's so smooth. And you
Super
have
smooth.
so much quilting area. You have this much.
A lot more areas what she's
Yeah.
talking about here, so we end up with more space to quilt at one time before we have to move and transfer the fabric to a new area. So I just wanted to bring this up because letting you see the possibilities. We love people being able to
Right.
start. We're going to kind of step out here with me a little bit, but we like being able to start where people can at an affordable rate. Right now, that's $889 for a
Right.
frame. You can accessorize it with other types of things, lasers. You can do our plastic pattern template sets. You can
Right.
do and buy the leader cloth for those type of things. So you can get started there.
Right.
And then at something like this, you can get into something, and we're looking, this machine retails
Right.
at $4,500, $4,499. With the frame, you'd be in the mid 5,000 to
Right.
get installed. And again, so if you make the investment on the hoop frame today,
Right.
later on when you're ready, you can just put the machine on there. So you don't need anything else.
Right.
Same bottom trolley, right?
Right. So you're just taking the top plate and handles off, and you're putting your nice brand new longer arm sewing machine on.
And then we also have a 19. So you can
Oh,
go clear
yes.
up to 19 inches on this same frame. With it, I'd like to do one last giveaway with those that
Oh,
are here.
awesome.
And then
Okay.
maybe we can go to some last questions. Again, thanks for those of you who've been able to join with us.
Right.
This is one of our first times. We're hoping to have many more. In fact, next week on Tuesday, a little bit earlier, we're going to be going through our 21 professional machine.
Ooh.
So that's one of my favorite machines that we have. So we're going to do our 21 Pro. And then we're going to talk about products as we kind of move throughout the year. So next month, we'll be looking at this 15 in more detail. We'll be looking at a 19 in more detail. So those will be a couple machines that we're going to highlight and talk a little bit more about. Why would somebody maybe use a 15 or versus a 19?
Maybe even a sneak peek on what's coming.
Well, we're going to hold off on that. We have, well, I guess I can, no, we're going to hold off on that. So we're always working on what's new. We've got some great new things in frames that even make that available for even significantly more people. Some wonderful things with stitch regulation, which is really, really fun. Carla's been playing around and having a great time with one of her great new thoughts that she's had on our stitch regulation. Beautiful and fantastic to play with. Let me go grab a quick last gift.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed for y'all.
All right. So this is the electric sharpener. So this is what we call a True Sharp 2. It does come with the plug and the power supply that plugs it into the wall.
And it really works.
It does work. It has diamond grit stones. And so this uses a method that's been proven for centuries, which is honing. And so the blade is inserted and it spins against those diamond grit stones in order to resharpen the edge back up. It does work with the 28s, the 45s, and the 60 millimeter blades. And yes, it does work with the multiple brands. Again, you can look on our site. We do have a couple videos on how this works as well. This is normally a $79.95 item that we'd love to give away. Let's go ahead and bring Mark back up on screen with us too, if we can. And let's look at the randomizer. What do we have, Mark?
Mark.
All right, randomizer. I am taking bribes, so if anybody wants to win, just post your comment right here, and we will get. I will make sure your name gets picked.
Well, I thought we had the randomizer.
Oh yes, sorry, not the markinizer. We'll do the randomizer. All right, here we go. Well, Stephanie Giles.
Wow, thanks for being with us today, Stephanie. Again, what I'd like for you to do, Stephanie, if you're still with us, go ahead and please make a comment letting us know. And then we're going to ask you to send your name, if you wouldn't mind, to info@graceframe.com, along with your shipping information. And we're going to go ahead and we'll get this sent out to you for free. Oh, nice. You're going to get one all the way from the UK is what we hear. We're still hooking you up. Don't you worry about it. So thank you for joining us. Share this with your friends. Again, we're going to have more, and we look forward to other type of reviews. Please, again, share this with friends. Let us know. Please comment, call our group. We're curious to know the type of things that you would like to learn more about with our products. Carla herself has a wonderful
videos and things and items you would like to see and how to use them. Yeah, let me know.
And this fall, I'll be looking forward to a lot more content and a lot more experiences. Carla has several wonderful classes I know you've worked on. A couple videos that we've put together. We're looking to stream some live classes as well. So we're really excited to become and be more in touch with our customer base. Thank you for your support. Some of you have been with us for years and years and years, and we're hoping to have more of you be with us for years and years and years. So thanks to everybody behind the scenes.
Thanks,
Bryant, our videographer. Mark, thanks for being with us. Carla. I think myself. No, I'm just kidding. Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. We look forward to sharing more content with you as we continue to move forward. Appreciate all your time.
Bye.